Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be reviewing the Lightec CR Turbo Lighter from Japan, which cost me 220 yen at a Japanese department store. 220 yen translates to roughly $1.50 USD. And while that's not a lot of money, all of the other lighters that were in the smoking section of the department store I went to were a little bit cheaper. They were around about 50 to 75 yen cheaper than this lighter right here. So why did I decide to buy this one? Well, I'll be frank, it's because of one reason and one reason only. Because this lighter has a lid on it. And I've never seen a disposable lighter in this format with a lid on it before, and so that piqued my curiosity, and so that is why I bought this lighter right here, I will admit. That was pretty much the only reason why I bought this lighter. So I certainly am looking forward to letting you guys know how the lid affects the usability of this lighter, that is for sure. But as said, this lighter is made by Lightec. What is Lightec as a brand? Well, Lightec is a Japanese brand that came about in 1937. But I will admit, I don't know much about the history of the brand. I looked at their website, I did a little bit of research, I really didn't find much, I will admit. And what I did find out wasn't really anything about the history of the brand. It was just about what they do in the modern day. What Lightec does in the modern day, though, is they make disposable lighters. On their website, they state that their best-selling product is indeed disposable lighters. So that's their main market and everything like that kind of thing. As of 2023, they have just over 80 employees. So they're definitely a little bit of a smaller brand, that is for sure, which I do suppose makes me all the more excited to try this lighter right here for the first time and to let you guys know what I think of it. But before I go ahead and get the lighter all out and before I go ahead and start using it and everything like that kind of thing, I gotta go ahead and go over the packaging of this lighter right here. After I go over the packaging, I'm gonna go ahead and get the lighter all out. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know how the lighter looks, how it feels, what the quality of it is like, and of course, how to use it as well. And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and get one of my Black Devil cacao flavored cigarettes from Japan, all lit up, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know how good this lighter is at actually lighting cigarettes. But without further ado, as said, we gotta go ahead and start with the packaging, which I will admit is a very, very, very basic sort of, I hate to say it, great value sort of look. It's definitely not like super fancy packaging or anything like that kind of thing. They're not trying to sell this lighter as being something luxury. This is a lighter that you're just meant to take straight out of the packaging and just start using right then kind of thing. This packaging is just meant to be something that holds it onto the shelf. That's all it's meant to be kind of thing. That is all it's meant to be. From a distance, this packaging is, I do suppose, a little bit more distinct than not. Most of the other lighters that I was looking at in the store didn't even come in packaging, so I do suppose the fact that this is in packaging at all does make it a little bit more distinct than not. But it's not really the most distinct look in the world from a distance, and up close it doesn't really look super great either. But as said, I don't really think that this lighter is supposed to look super great. It's meant to be a cheap disposable lighter, and the packaging is meant to be very disposable as well. You're meant to throw the packaging away immediately after you buy it, essentially. So why would they put really any sort of luxury-esque looks onto the packaging, even though I'm sure they totally could have? What was I going to say next? I do suppose, without further ado, it's now probably time for me to go ahead and start covering the actual details of the packaging itself. But, this is definitely not meant to look like a luxury lighter or anything like that kind of thing. It's meant to look like a more budget lighter, and the packaging does a good job of saying all of the features of the lighter and everything like that kind of thing. So it does its intended purpose while just looking okay. It's not really super great packaging by any means, but it's not really meant to, in all honesty. We can just see the top of the packaging, though, just has a nice little ring on it. This is just meant to be hung on a little bit of a shelf and everything like that kind of thing, and that's why this little bit right here is white instead of being clear like the rest of the packaging. We can just see to the side of the ring right here, to the side of the circle right here, we can just see it just says Lightec right there. That's all in blue except for the eye, which is indeed in orange, and the eye does indeed have a little bit of a flame as the dot above the eye. That's something I've seen a lot of lighter companies do. I think Zippo has done that. I think Bic did that. I want to say Clipper did that as well. Pretty much every single lighter company does that as long as there's an eye in the name, and that is something that I do love seeing. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. excuse me, had to burp. I don't know why I had to burp right then, but I did nonetheless. Below the Lightec logo right here in blue, though, we could just see it just says since 1937. Lightec has been around for a while, which is why it's such a shame that I wasn't really able to find much history on the brand at all. But it is what it is kind of thing. It is what it is. To the side of the Lightec logo right here, we can see there's a blue sort of like wavy line right there. That is also on the other side as well. And then to the side of that blue wavy line, there's just a little bit of like some holes and everything like that kind of thing. And that's just all in white. I do suppose that's probably where this packaging would just like put together and everything like that kind of thing, just stapled together. And I do suppose that's probably what these little lines right here are and everything like that kind of thing. Makes sense, I do suppose. Moving on to this little bit of an oval right here. This is all in black with white Japanese on the inside of it. It just says, according to Google Translate at least, just use up. It just says, use up this lighter. I don't really know what it says in all honesty. I don't know how accurate Google Translate is, but it just said something like use up or something like that kind of thing, which was a little bit odd, I will admit. This red circle right here has white Japanese text in the center of it as well, and it just says like with lid. And this lighter does indeed have a lid, and that's what this is just emphasizing kind of thing. So it's just talking about the features of the lighter and everything like that kind of thing. It does make sense, that is for sure. Below all of this right here, though, we could see the actual name of this lighter. This is the CR Turbo Lighter. And we could just see it just says CR right there in English letters, and then it just says turbo right here, and then in smaller Japanese, it just says lighter right there. This is all in black with a white border going around it, and then a red border going around that, which is, I will admit, a surprisingly intricate look for this packaging, that is for sure. But I certainly can't complain about that, that is for sure as well. And that's pretty much all there is to the top of the packaging, on the front at least. Moving on to the middle and bottom of the packaging, we can just see it just goes to clear. We can see the lighter through the packaging and everything like that kind of thing, but stretching across right here, there is a yellow band. On that yellow band, we get some red Japanese text, and it just says Turbo Flame, I think that's what it says. I think it says like Turbo Flame or like Strong Flame or something like that kind of thing, and it has like an exclamation mark, and then it just has like a photo of the flame right here and everything like that kind of thing, just trying to display just how strong the flame actually is. And then there is some black text right here, which is very, very, very hard to see, I will admit, and that just acknowledges that this photo is indeed a photo. It's not a real flame, which I find pretty amusing that they have on the packaging. I'm like, yeah, of course it's not a real flame, but maybe it's not actually translating to that. I figure probably what they're just trying to say with that text is probably just that, hey, just because the flame looks like this in the picture doesn't mean it's actually going to look like that in real life kind of thing. I don't really know in all honesty, but Google Translate, I feel like, is not giving me the most accurate translations in the world, that is for sure. But that's pretty much all there is to the front of the packaging. It's a very basic sort of great value look kind of thing. It's not really meant to be anything that's super special. It's not really anything too complex or anything like that kind of thing. It's not to look too expensive, and this lighter definitely does look cheap. Not only the look of the lighter itself, but the packaging itself looks pretty cheap as well. And this is a cheap lighter, so they want to market it as being a cheap lighter, so it makes sense why the packaging does indeed look cheap. Let's go ahead and move on to the back of the packaging though. Once again, on the top right here, we can of course see that it is all in white. We can just see we get some numbers right there. It just says that these are made in China, and then in Japanese it just says with product liability insurance. So yeah, these are made in China with product liability insurance, which is interesting, I do suppose, although I don't really know what that means in all honesty. Then we just get the barcode right here, and then it just says that the packaging is made out of plastic. So it just says, hey, if you want to throw away this packaging, just throw it in like the plastic bin or something like that kind of thing. This little thing is required on pretty much all Japanese packaging, so it makes sense why it's on this one as well. Then moving on below all of that, we get to some very confusing stuff, I will admit. I mean, like, some of it I know what it means, some of it I don't. This black Japanese, right, I have no clue what this means. I assume this probably means something like warnings or something like that kind of thing. And then we get a bunch of different squares with a bunch of different warnings. It just says only use this lighter to light up cigarettes and tobacco products and stuff like that kind of thing. And then I think it says don't give to children. And then I think it says don't get near your face or clothing. And then I think it says, hey, don't leave it running for a very long time. Don't leave it in your car, and don't expose it to temperatures above, I want to say it was 50 Celsius. So yeah, don't expose it to temperatures above 50 Celsius, otherwise it might explode or something like that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that's what all of those warning labels mean if I had to guess. Then moving on below that, I have no clue what this kanji means. I have no clue what this kanji means either, or just Japanese text. I have no clue what it means. And then I guess this is their like call line and everything like that kind of thing. So you can call this number right here if you want help. And I do know that it acknowledges that you can only call Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5. and you cannot call on Saturdays or Sundays or holidays. It does acknowledge that. That is one thing I remember, but that's pretty much all there is to the packaging, and that's all of the translation that I could shove into my head right before this video. But I do suppose, without further ado, that's pretty much all there is to the packaging. Overall, it's definitely a cheap look, that is for sure, but it's not really meant to be anything that's like super expensive kind of thing. They probably designed this packaging to look cheap. They could have totally designed like super luxury packaging for this lighter, but they don't want to, because they don't want to set people's expectations too high, because it's a cheap lighter kind of thing. It's a $2 lighter. So why set their expectations high? Why not just make the packaging look cheap so people just expect a cheap lighter? And then maybe, hey, the lighter's a little bit better than they expected. Although I don't know that for sure. Well, I do suppose, without further ado, it is now time for me to go ahead and get this packaging all opened up, and it's now time for me to go ahead and get the lighter all out and go ahead and let you guys know how the lighter itself looks like and everything like that. I will admit, though, the packaging, I feel like, is definitely better than not, and I do feel like it accomplished its goal, that is for sure. But there we go. I now have the lighter all out, and this is like, it's like nothing. I ain't gonna lie. There is no weight at all to this lighter. Wow, there is no weight at all to this lighter. This is like unnervingly heavy. Or sorry, not heavy, light. This is like unnervingly light. I actually don't really like that very much. I ain't gonna lie. This is so light, it's crazy. Let's just flip that open. Give it a little bit of try. Oh, this is a jet lighter. Oh, I didn't even realize. So this is a jet lighter. Okay, cool. That explains why it has the lid. I thought that this was gonna be a soft flame, but I was very, very, very wrong, that is for sure. Interesting, interesting. Okay, good to know, good to know. And just messing around with it just a little bit before I go ahead and show you guys everything that's going on. It seems like this has an adjustable flame as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and start going over the look of this lighter, starting off with the front of it with the lid closed. So we can just see that this lighter is pretty much entirely clear. We can see the fluid on the inside, which is very nice. I will admit, I do like being able to see the fluid on the inside of the lighter. It lets you know how much lighter you got left in your lighter and everything like that kind of thing, especially since this lighter is not refillable or anything like that kind of thing. So that is a nice little bit of a benefit. We can see like a straw right here. We can see like some other stuff right here, that we can see the button right here and everything like that kind of thing. Overall, it's just like a pretty much a basic clear look. Really not too much going on, I will admit, but certainly not bad by any means either. Moving on to the other side of the lighter, we can see there is a bunch of warning labels right here. It just says CR and then I assume turbo right there. Then there's some more Japanese and some more Japanese, and then a lighter thing right there which just says JSACA, which I assume it means that like it's like a safe lighter or something like that kind of thing. I really have no clue. I don't know what any of this means, I will admit. I assume that's just a warning label, just like they have warning labels on lighters in the United States and pretty much everywhere else. Of course, they're going to have a warning label on this lighter as well. It's just that I can't read it, so that means I don't have to listen to the warning label, right? Yeah. That means I don't have to listen to it. No, I think I'm still going to be a little bit careful. One thing that is bothering me just a little bit is that this warning label was indeed placed a little bit too high up, so it's in the like little bit of a button portion just a little bit. That is a little bit annoying, but this is a cheap lighter after all, so it certainly is what it is. Can I peel that off? I'm not going to try to, in all honesty. This lighter, though, is like unnervingly light. I'm going to go ahead and grab my just normal sized Bic lighter out of my pocket and just see which one is heavier. Actually, I think they're about the same. Actually, I think this one's slightly heavier. I think my Bic lighter is slightly heavier, probably just due to the metal on it. But you know, this one is slightly heavier, which is honestly kind of scary because like a Bic is just like basic disposable lighter kind of thing. Although this is, I guess, maybe the Japanese equivalent of a crack lighter. That would be my guess. I'm kind of thinking this is the Japanese equivalent of a crack lighter. Not a lot of people in Japan do crack, I feel like, probably. I'm pretty sure not a lot of people in Japan do crack, if anybody, in all honesty. But I'm getting the distinct impression that this is the Japanese version of a crack lighter. It's clear, it's really, really, really light, it's really cheap kind of thing. I get the impression that this is probably just the Japanese equivalent of crack lighter, in all honesty. And there is an ant on my phone. Just blew him off. He just flew away, you know what I'm saying? Certainly no complaints on my behalf. But yeah, I like the whole clear look to this lighter, just knocking on it and everything like that kind of thing. There's some rattles and everything like that, that is for sure. We can tell this lighter, definitely not the highest quality thing in the world by any means. But I mean, like, hey, it only cost me $1.50, so I really can't complain that much, I do suppose. But yeah, not a bad look if I do say so myself. We could just see, I love that. I honestly do really like, they don't make a lot of clear lighters like this, except for crack lighters, but this has a little bit of a different look to it than normal crack lighters in the United States, just simply because it's got, this is not like, it's not a flint wheel, it's actually got like the whole button spark and everything like that kind of thing, which It is not really something that you see all that much in the United States kind of thing, but it's something that is super common in Japan. I noticed, like, I want to say like 80% of the lighters that are sold in Japan have like just the button, which I hate the button ones. I prefer flint wheels personally, but either way, still very, very, very interesting nonetheless. And I certainly cannot complain about being able to see the inside of this lighter. It's not a bad look, but it is a very cheap look, that is for sure. Let's go and just take a look at the bottom of the lighter real quick. It just says 39001 China, and it just has like a logo, and then it just says A17 right there on the bottom of it. That's pretty much all there is to the bottom. Not really much going on, in all honesty. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the lid. The lid is all plastic. That is meant to look like metal. Even the shiny part is not even metal. It's still plastic. This flips open, oh, very nicely, and it is spring-loaded, so it closes very, very, very nice, very satisfyingly, almost like a Zippo. That's pretty nice, if I do say so myself. I certainly can't complain about that. I was a little bit worried about this lid like getting in the way of lighting my stuff and everything like that kind of thing, but it flips out away so easily kind of thing that it's honestly not a concern at all, and that's actually something that I like a decent amount. And because this is a lighter that has a torch, it is honestly nice that it does have a little bit of a lid to make sure that it doesn't get pressed down in your pocket so you don't accidentally burn through your clothing and everything like that kind of thing. That is a nice little addition, I will admit. But just taking a look at the lighter with the lid all opened up, on the inside of the lighter, we could just see, at the inside of the lid, we could just see it's just all white and everything like that kind of thing. Not really much going on. We could just see the button right there, and you just press it down just like that to release some gas and get it all lit up and everything like that kind of thing. And that was very hot. I can't really see it very well though, I will admit. We could just see that you can make this lighter smaller or hotter. Let's go and just put it on the smallest setting real quick if I can do that. I don't have much fingernail. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit tough, and let's go and just try it real quick. So that is going up, I think, about like, it's going up to about like right there, I want to say. And then with the tallest one, I'm barely able to see. And then with the tallest one, it's going up, I want to say, to like right about there. Probably like right about there kind of thing. So it's not like too much taller, but it is definitely a little bit taller, that is for sure. And yeah, this is just made out of a very nice metal right there kind of thing. Certainly no complaints on my behalf, but that's pretty much all there is to the look of the lighter. Overall, it is very much slightly higher than crack lighter quality, I will admit, but not quite as high quality as a Bic, if I do say so myself. But not bad at all, if I do say so myself as well. Definitely worth the $1.50 I spent on it. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm gonna put my sunglasses down just a little bit because it's gotten a little bit more cloudy. Hopefully it doesn't start raining on me or nothing like that. That would certainly suck. But I do suppose, without further ado, it's now time for me to go ahead and get a cigarette all lit up. And it's now time for me to go ahead and let you guys know how this lighter works for lighting cigarettes. As it literally says on the packaging, that's the only thing this lighter is meant for. It's not meant for anything else. It's only meant for lighting cigarettes. So how good is it at lighting cigarettes? Well, I do suppose there's no way to find out. There's no better way to find out than try myself. But before I do that, I do want to get a little bit of water. Excuse me. I do want to get a little bit of a sip of water real quick, to say it correctly. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get one of my Black Devil Cacao flavored cigarettes from Japan all out. And now let's go ahead and get it lit up with the Lightec CR Turbo Lighter from Japan, which cost me 220 yen at a Japanese department store. Without further ado, let's see how well or how badly this gets lit up. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? So let's flick it open and get it going. Oh yeah, that flame is really strong. So yeah, this is definitely a torch lighter, that is for sure. And this is why I don't normally light my cigarettes with torch lighters, because it tends to ruin the end of it just like that. So I'm thinking this lighter is probably best on like a medium to low setting, if I had to guess. Probably best on a medium to low setting. But yeah, I did get my cigarette all lit up, so I really can't complain. And it got it lit up pretty quickly, if I do say so myself. It's a torch lighter after all, so that is to be expected, I do suppose. But yeah, got my cigarette all lit up pretty well kind of thing. I do definitely think that this lighter would be really good for like windy days and everything like that kind of thing. I personally prefer using soft flames, but they can be a pain in the ass sometimes on windy days. And it's pretty windy. I bought this lighter in Tokyo, in a department store in Tokyo, and sometimes it's pretty windy in Tokyo. I ain't gonna lie, all the buildings and everything like that kind of thing make it quite windy. So I definitely do think that if you're like out at an outside smoking area in Japan or something like that kind of thing, it might be good to have one of these as a backup backup, just in case it's so windy that you literally cannot get a cigarette all lit up with a normal soft flame lighter. But there are ways to go about that, but this just makes it a little bit easier. Definitely, though, I will admit, this lighter is really not good for much more than lighting cigarettes on a windy day. I would much rather use a soft flame personally, nor can I see myself buying one of these again. This is very much a torch lighter. I'm probably going to relegate it to cigar use, in all honesty. That's pretty much my plan for this lighter. But it's definitely not a bad lighter for the price. I wouldn't buy it again. I didn't realize when I was buying this lighter that it was a torch lighter. I thought it was a soft flame with a lid, which I thought was really cool. But no, it is indeed a torch lighter, which is what it is, kind of thing. But I certainly can't complain either way. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. And I mean, like, torch lighters in my area, generally speaking, are a bit more than $1.50. So really, for a torch lighter, for $1.50, that's actually not a bad price at all now that I'm thinking about it. $1.50 for a torch lighter, I see why this was the most expensive lighter of the bunch. Really, not a bad price at all. Not a bad price at all, if I do say so myself. But if you are going to use this lighter for lighting cigarettes, I definitely recommend keeping it on the lowest setting. The highest setting is definitely a bit too much for cigarettes, although probably perfect for cigars if I had to guess. It's got a little bit more sunny again. Put my sunglasses back on. Put my sunnies back on, you know what I'm saying? Got my $12 Amazon sunglasses on. They're pretty good if I do say so myself. I've been enjoying them. But let's go and finish off my cigarette. And then after that, I'm going to go and give you guys my final thoughts on this lighter, which I already have a little bit. And then after that, after I give you guys my final thoughts on the lighter, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and finish off this cigarette. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? But what are my final thoughts on the Lightec CR Turbo lighter from Japan? Would I buy it again? If I was in Japan and I wanted a lighter specifically to light up cigars, yes, 100%, I would buy this lighter again. For the price, it's really not all that bad for what it is, kind of thing. In my area, torch lighters, any disposable torch lighter that you can't refill, is gonna ring you anywhere from like $3.50 to $4. I'll be frank, they are overpriced in my area. So for $1.50 for a torch lighter, that is really not bad at all if I do say so myself. But I do have some issues with it. It is, of course, an electric spark lighter, which I'm really not a super big fan of. It's not really the greatest at lighting cigarettes. This is very much a torch lighter if you're gonna light cigarettes with it. I definitely have to say, you wanna keep it on the lowest setting. But it's not a bad lighter for the price, kind of thing. It's not a bad lighter for the price, so I really can't be too critical. It's not super great quality or anything like that kind of thing, but it's a $1.50 lighter. That's torch lighter at that kind of thing, so it's really not bad. I would buy one of these again if I was looking at smoking a cigar in Japan, that is for sure, and I wanted to get a lighter that I didn't mind ditching on the way back or just shoving in my bag and seeing whether TSA takes it or something like that kind of thing. Thankfully, TSA did not take this lighter, which was very lucky, I will admit. But I don't even know if you're allowed to take torch lighters on planes, in all honesty. Like, you're allowed to take lighters on planes, but I don't know if you're allowed to take torch lighters on planes. I have no clue, in all honesty. Either way, they didn't take this lighter, so I certainly can't complain. But oh yeah, no, sorry. I just want to clarify real quick. I definitely had this shipped to me from Japan. I paid for shipping for this lighter. I did not take this lighter on the plane. I want to acknowledge there might have been some confusion with what I just said, because I just said, oh yeah, maybe I took this on. No, I did not take this on the plane. I shipped it to me. Just saying. I took this. I took this to the post office and I mailed it to myself. Yes, because I'm in the United States right now. I'm not in Japan. I'm in the United States right now, so I definitely mailed this to myself. But for $1.50, honestly, this is not bad at all. It's definitely good to light cigarettes on a windy day. It's not super expensive, and it definitely seems like a good lighter to light your cigar with. overall, I really can't criticize it too much. It's a cheap lighter that does the job that it's intended to do. I don't know how well this lighter will hold up to the test of time, though. I will admit, if I had to guess, it'll probably work pretty well for the next couple weeks, and then after that, the electric spark will probably stop working as well, or the torch will probably get some gunk in it or something like that kind of thing and stop working as well. And it'll just probably die after that kind of thing. But I do think for the next couple weeks or so, this lighter will probably work better than not, but I'm not going to be using it super consistently over the next couple weeks unless I'm smoking a cigar. Oh my god. Oh my god. Don't come at me. I have a torch lighter. I will kill you. A bee just tried to kill me. Can y'all believe that? A bee just tried to kill me. But overall, though, this lighter, definitely not bad. For the price, it's pretty good, and it does the job it's intended to, so the rating I'm thinking for this lighter is, going to reflect that. The packaging is nothing special kind of thing. It's just meant to reflect the cheap nature of this lighter, and this lighter certainly is cheap. The build quality of this lighter is okay. It's nothing extreme, but it does the job it's intended to do for a low price, so I really can't give it a super bad rating. I think I'm thinking a solid probably 7.5 out of 10 for this lighter right here. Would I buy it again if I was in Japan and I needed a torch lighter for cheap? Yes, 100%. But would I buy this lighter again on any regular basis if I'm just smoking cigarettes? No, probably not. But yeah. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this lighter. As said, a solid 7.5 out of 10 for the Lightec CR Turbo Lighter from Japan, which I bought for 220 yen. I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But yeah, no, thank you so much for watching, y'all. To the next one, stay safe and peace. Have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying. And also, I almost forgot to say, if you guys have ever used this lighter before, make sure to let me know what y'all think of it in the comments down below. But, till the next one, y'all, stay safe and peace. Have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying.